logical terms with an existential meaning. These key terms are the words Dhamma, Ayatana, Dhatu, Pada, and Satya. The words are given on the list of Pali terms. We'll explain these words briefly and then show how each of them is applied to Nibbana. First, we'll take the word Dhamma. We have dealt with this word and some of its more common meanings as the teaching of the Buddha, as the truth made known by the Buddha, and as the path that leads to the realization of truth. But this word Dhamma also has a more philosophical meaning. The word Dhamma signifies the basic actualities, the existing realities, those things which bear their own natures independent of our thinking, of our conceptual processing of them. The Dhammas are distinguished from conceptual entities, those things which do not exist in fact, but only as ideas or notions in the mind. Now, all the Dhammas, the actual existences, are divided into two basic groups, the conditioned and the unconditioned, Sankata and Asankata. A conditioned Dhamma is an actuality which has come into being through causes and conditions, something which arises through the working of various conditions. The conditioned Dhammas include all the phenomena with which we are ordinarily familiar. These all fall into the five aggregates. So any conditioned Dhamma is either a material form, a feeling, perception, a mental formation, or an act of consciousness. Now all the conditioned Dhammas go through three phases of becoming. First, there's the phase of arising, then finally a phase of falling away, cessation, and in between the two there's a phase called titassa anyatattang. I've mentioned this before. That is the changing of that which stands, the transformation of that which persists. That is, while the conditioned Dhamma lasts, while it persists, it undergoes constant change. It doesn't remain static, but it undergoes transformation. It's in a ceaseless process of becoming. So the conditioned Dhamma has these three phases: arising, transformation, and falling away. Now, in contrast to all of the conditioned Dhammas, there is the class of the unconditioned, which is much simpler. It contains only one actuality. That is Nibbana. In contrast to the conditioned, the unconditioned is not produced by causes and conditions. And then, in contrast to the conditioned, the unconditioned has the three opposite marks. That is, it has no arising, it has no falling away, and it undergoes no transformation. And the Buddha speaks distinctly of Nibbana as a Dhamma. He calls it the supreme Dhamma, the Uttamang Dhamma. And he says in one sutta, he says that of all Dhammas, conditioned and unconditioned, the most excellent Dhamma, the supreme Dhamma, is Nibbana. So Nibbana is definitely referred to by this key ontological term of Buddhism, the word Dhamma. Another important ontological term used by the Buddha is ayatana. This word usually means realm, plane, or sphere. For example, the Buddha speaks about the different planes of existence as ayatanas. And he also speaks about the 6 sense faculties as the 6 ayatanas. In a famous passage from the text, the Udana, the Buddha also speaks about Nibbana as an ayatana. He says, He says, monks, there is a realm, tad ati tad dayatanang. There is a realm where there is neither earth, water, heat, or air. Neither the sphere of infinite space, the sphere of infinite consciousness, the sphere of nothingness, or the sphere of neither perception nor non-perception. That is the four formless realms. There is neither this world nor any other world, neither sun nor moon. This I call neither arising nor passing away, neither standing still nor being born nor dying. There is neither foothold there, nor development, nor any basis. This is the end of suffering. So we see that in this passage, the Buddha speaks of Nibbana as an ayatana, a realm or sphere. It's a sphere where there is nothing at all that corresponds to our world of mundane common experience. And therefore it has to be described entirely by way of negatives, as the negation of all finite properties. Another word frequently used in the Buddha's discourses is the word dhatu. This word most often means element. Thus the Buddha speaks of the four dhatus, the four material elements: earth, water, heat, and air. At other times he speaks of 18 elements, the 6 sense organs, the 6 sense objects, and the 6 kinds of consciousness. But the Buddha also speaks of another dhatu, another element. He calls this the amata dhatu, that is, the deathless element. And this deathless element is Nibbana. Thus in one sutta he speaks about a monk who has reached the highest level in the development of insight, where he's seeing all of the 5 aggregates as impermanent, as dukkha, and as insubstantial. Then when he reaches this climax of insight, his mind suddenly turns away from all conditioned dhammas, and it says that he focuses his mind upon the deathless element, and that with his mind focused on the deathless element, he reaches the destruction of the defilements. In another sutta, the Buddha speaks of the Nibbana dhatu, the element of Nibbana, and he compares it to an ocean. He says that just as the great ocean